In this podcast episode, Liz Truss, a former Prime Minister of Britain, reflects on her time in power and the challenges she faced in implementing conservative policies. Truss highlights the strong forces pushing against her agenda, particularly from the economic establishment and the bureaucracy. She emphasizes the need for smaller government, lower taxes, and a focus on economic growth, which she believes have been neglected in recent years. Truss explains that during her time as a junior minister and later as a Secretary of State, she encountered obstacles in implementing her policies, such as deregulating childcare to make it more affordable. She describes a bureaucratic process that is slow and often influenced by vested interests, leading to compromises that dilute the effectiveness of the policies. As Prime Minister, Truss attempted to challenge the economic orthodoxy that she believed was hindering Britain's progress. However, she faced significant backlash from the economic establishment and within the Conservative Party itself. She points out that even at the highest level of government, there are constraints and resistance to change, making it difficult to push through reforms. Truss argues that the current system in Britain has shifted towards technocracy, with unelected bodies wielding significant power and influence over policy decisions. She criticizes the lack of democratic accountability and calls for a restoration of parliamentary sovereignty. She believes that repealing legislation such as the Equality Act, the Human Rights Act, and the Climate Change Act is necessary to address the bureaucratic red tape and ideological biases that hinder progress. Despite her efforts to bring about change, Truss acknowledges that not enough people in the Conservative Party or the broader political elite understand the root of the problem. She laments the lack of awareness about the challenges faced in implementing policies and the resistance from entrenched interests. She emphasizes the importance of educating the public and policymakers about the systemic issues that impede effective governance. Truss responds to criticisms about the Conservative Party's failure to address these issues over the past 14 years in power. She acknowledges the shortcomings and the need for a shift in mindset within the party to recognize and tackle the underlying problems. She highlights the complexity of navigating the bureaucratic and institutional hurdles that prevent meaningful reform, even with a majority in government. Truss reflects on her time as Prime Minister, describing the surreal experience of walking into number 10 Downing Street. She acknowledges the difficulties she faced in implementing her policies, particularly in the face of opposition from within the party and the economic establishment. She explains the decision to reverse the corporation tax cut and the challenges she encountered with liability-driven investments. The conversation delves into the question of leadership and principles, with Truss discussing the decision to ask her Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng, to resign. She reflects on the need to prioritize the country's interests and make tough decisions in the face of economic challenges. She also addresses the criticism of her government's policies, such as providing financial support for rising gas prices, and explains the rationale behind these decisions. Truss expresses her belief in small government and low taxes as the key to economic growth, despite the prevailing sentiment in the country for big government and social conservatism. She emphasizes the need for the Conservative Party to communicate effectively with the public about their policies and the reasons for their inability to deliver on certain promises. She acknowledges the need for honesty and transparency in addressing the failures of past policies and the challenges facing the party. The conversation shifts to the current state of the Conservative Party, with Truss acknowledging the poor polling numbers and the need for change within the party. She stresses the importance of convincing party members and activists of the need for systemic change to deliver on conservative policies. She acknowledges the uphill battle ahead, but remains optimistic about the possibility of winning over party members and voters with a clear and honest message. Truss also discusses the broader implications of her book, 10 Years to Save the West, which warns of the dangers of left-wing ideology and the need for conservatives to fight back against these forces. She emphasizes the importance of democracy and empowering the electorate to make informed decisions about the future of the country. She believes that a more direct relationship with the public is essential to saving the West from the challenges it faces.